6 powerful men in tailored suits. One little girl, barefoot on cold marble. And a dare no one expected her to take seriously. "Open that safe," the Mafia boss laughed, pointing to the vault behind him, "and every dollar inside is yours." His men roared. $100 million. An impossible lock. A child who hadn't eaten in 2 days. But here's what Kobe Gill didn't know. That safe. Her dead father built it, and he left his daughter the only key. She stepped forward. Her hands didn't shake. 90 seconds later, no one was laughing. 36 hours earlier, the hallway smelled like bleach and bad news. Mary Williams stood outside room 412, her bare feet cold against the linoleum, watching through the window as her grandmother's chest rose and fell with the rhythm of a machine that cost more per hour than Mary had ever held in her life. Elena Williams was 78 years old. She'd raised Mary alone after Daniel died. She'd sold her wedding ring to keep the lights on. She'd eaten less so Mary could eat more. And now a blood clot was sitting in her brain like a bomb with a timer no one could see. The doctor didn't look at Mary when he spoke. People never looked at children when they delivered the kind of news that changes everything. The surgery is scheduled for Thursday, but without the deposit, $200,000, we'll have to cancel. Mary's voice came out smaller than she wanted. What happens if you cancel? The doctor paused, finally looked at her. She won't make it a Friday. 72 hours. $200,000. Mary had $11 and a photograph of a father who'd been dead for 5 years. She didn't mean to eavesdrop. But when you're invisible, when you're a 12-year-old girl with no shoes and nothing to lose, people talk around you like you're furniture. 2 men in a booth. Expensive watches. Nervous voices. Kobe Gill doesn't forgive debts. You know that. But if I could just... He makes these bets. Impossible ones. Says he respects audacity. The man laughed, but there was no humor in it. He respects it right up until he destroys you. Mary's coffee had gone cold. She didn't notice. Kobe Gill. She knew that name. Her father's workshop hadn't been touched since the funeral. Mary ran her fingers over the workbench where Daniel Williams had taught her to listen to locks, to feel the tiny vibrations, to count the clicks. Locks aren't puzzles, he told her once, his big hands guiding her small ones. They're conversations. You just have to learn the language. She opened his journal. Pages of schematics, technical drawings, and then the Gill Commission. A safe. Massive. Custom-built. A wolf's head engraved on the dial. Her father had designed it. 12 years ago. For Kobe Gill. The journal entry was dated 3 days before he died. The wolf's teeth hide the lamb's way in. Em will understand when she needs to. Mary closed the journal. She understood now. The restaurant was called Fidelio. It served pasta that cost more than rent and wine older than Mary's father would have been. Mary walked in the back entrance. She found the bread. She took it. And then she did something that would either save her grandmother's life or end her own. She looked directly at the security camera and waited. They didn't ask questions. The first guard grabbed her arm hard enough to leave fingerprints. The second took the bread from her hands and dropped in the trash like it was nothing. Like she was nothing. Walk. They dragged her through the kitchen, past cooks who didn't look up, past waiters who pretended not to see, and into a service elevator Mary hadn't known existed. The buttons only went to 46, but the guard pressed a hidden panel, and the elevator kept climbing. 47. The marble was cold. Mary felt it immediately, the shock of that icy floor against her bare feet. She'd lost her shoes 3 weeks ago. Couldn't afford new ones. Now she was standing in a room that probably cost more than every building on her block combined, and all she could think about was how cold her feet were. 6 men. Dark suits. Gold watches. The kind of smiles that never reached the eyes. And, at the window, his back to her, Kobe Gill. He didn't turn around immediately. Let the silence stretch. Let her feel the weight of the room, the city sprawling beneath them, the distance between who she was and who he was. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, almost gentle. You stole from me. Mary's heart hammered, but her voice came out steady. I needed your attention. Kobe Gill turned. He was older than she expected. 60 maybe. Silver hair swept back. A face that had seen things, ordered things, buried things. But his eyes were curious. Most thieves beg, he said, walking toward her. They cry. They plead. They offer me things they don't have. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and cold. You're not begging. Begging wouldn't help. No. A ghost of a smile. It wouldn't. He circled her slowly, a predator assessing prey. His men watched, amused. You're what, 12? 13? No shoes. No family, I'm guessing, or someone would have reported you missing by now. He stopped in front of her again. So what could a little street rat possibly offer me that I don't already have? Mary took a breath. This is it. I can open any safe in the world. Marco, the youngest of Kobe's lieutenants, gold chain catching the light, laughed the loudest. Threw his head back, slapped his thigh. Any safe, he howled. Any safe. Kobe didn't laugh. He watched her. Then, slowly, he gestured toward the far wall, toward a vault the size of a refrigerator, gunmetal gray, a wolf's head engraved on the dial. Open that safe, little rat, and every dollar inside is yours. More laughter. Louder now. $100 million. One of the men called out. Kid's gonna be rich. Better call Forbes. But Mary wasn't listening to them. She was looking at the safe. At the wolf. Her father's voice, soft, from long ago. The wolf's teeth hide the lamb's way in. She'd been 7 when he said it. She thought it was a game. Remember the numbers, Mary. Just in case. 17. 43. 71. 8. 32. She'd remembered. She'd never known why. Until now. If you're already invested in what happens to this girl, if you need to know whether she can actually do it, hit that like button right now. Because what she does next, it's going to shock you. Mary walked toward the safe. The men were still chuckling. Kobe watched with cold interest. The wolf stared back at her. And Mary Williams, barefoot, starving, alone, put her hands on the dial. The laughter faded. Not because the men had stopped. They hadn't. But because Mary had gone somewhere else. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere her father's voice was the only sound that mattered. 17. She turned the dial right. Felt the faint vibration through her fingertips. Click. One of Kobe's men checked his watch. Another whispered something to Marco, who snorted. 43. Left. Passed the number twice, then back. Click. Her father's hands over hers. A Sunday afternoon in the workshop. Sunlight through dusty windows. You'll know when you need it, sweetheart. 71. Click. Kobe stepped closer. His smile was fading. 8. Click. Mary's hands were steady. Her heartbeat wasn't. 32. The dial spun. A deep mechanical thunk. The bolt releasing. The vault door swung open. Silence. The kind of silence that happens when reality breaks. One of the men, the oldest, gray-haired, whispered something in Italian that sounded like a prayer. Marco had stopped laughing. His gold chain hung still. Kobe Gill stared at the open vault, then at the girl, then back at the vault, as if looking away might reset it, might undo what had just happened. Ow! Not a question. A demand. Mary didn't answer. She looked into the vault. The money didn't interest her. She didn't know why. Something in her gut told her that the tape recorder mattered more than every dollar in that room. So she picked it up, slipped it into the pocket of her frayed shorts. She did it without looking, without hesitating. But Kobe saw. His jaw tightened. Something shifted in his eyes, from shock to calculation to something darker. She didn't know what she'd taken, but he did. Give it back. His voice was quiet now. Dangerous. Mary felt the weight of the recorder against her hip, the weight of the room pressing in. But she also felt something else. Her father's voice. A bet is a bet. Everything in that safe is mine now, she said. That's what you promised. In front of you, man. Kobe's lieutenants exchanged glances. She was right. The code. Every man in this room knew it. Kobe Gill's word was sacred. A bet made was a bet honored. It was the foundation of his empire, the one principle that separated him from the chaos of ordinary criminals. If he broke his word now, in front of witnesses, he wouldn't just lose a tape recorder. He'd lose everything. A bet is a bet, Mr. Gill, Mary said quietly. Isn't that your code? The silence stretched. Then Kobe smiled. It was the coldest thing she'd ever seen. You have until sunrise. He stepped aside from the elevator. After that, the code doesn't protect you. Mary walked toward the doors, her bare feet leaving no sound on the marble. She didn't run. She didn't breathe. But the moment those elevator doors closed behind her, she finally let herself tremble. The bathroom smelled like mildew and old cigarettes. Mary didn't care. She sat on the cold tile floor, her back against the door, and pulled the tape recorder from her pocket. Her hands were shaking now. The adrenaline that had carried her out of that penthouse was draining away, leaving behind the truth she'd been too scared to face. She was a 12-year-old girl with a target on her back, and no idea what she was holding. Insurance. Her father's handwriting. Mary pressed play. Static. Then a voice. Calm. Familiar. If you're hearing this, I'm already dead. Mary stopped breathing. And you need to know who killed me. It was her father, Daniel Williams, speaking to her from 5 years ago, from beyond the grave. I designed a safe for a man named Kobe Gill, the most secure vault ever built. Or so he thought. What he didn't know is that I built a backdoor, a sequence only you would remember. Mary, the numbers from our game. I thought he was just a businessman. I didn't know what he really was. Not until I saw the things in that safe. The records, the orders, the bodies he'd buried. When I told him I wanted out, he smiled. He said he understood, and then he made a phone call. I'm recording this because I know what's coming. I'm recording this because I need you to understand. What's in that safe isn't just money, Mary. It's proof. It's power. And if you're hearing this, you've already taken it from him. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I never wanted this for you. But if anyone can finish what I couldn't. Distant sounds on the tape. A door opening. Footsteps. I have to go. Remember, a bet is a bet, even when it costs you everything. A second voice, colder, sharper. Daniel, you become a liability. Kobe Gill. Mary recognized the voice. Kobe, please. I have a daughter. You should have thought about that before. A gunshot. Static. Mary sat on a bathroom floor, the recorder in her hands. Silence. She didn't cry. She cried for 3 months after the funeral. Cried until there was nothing left. Now there was just this, the truth. Her father hadn't died in an accident. He'd been murdered by the man who had laughed at her 2 hours ago. She thought of her grandmother. 58 hours left. She thought of her father's voice, the apology, the belief. She thought of Kobe Gill. And for the first time since this started, Mary Williams wasn't afraid. She was angry. Mary just discovered the truth about her father. The man who killed him doesn't know she knows. What she does with that information will change everything. Stay with her. And if this story has you completely hooked, drop a comment telling me. What would you do? The city looked different now. Every shadow was a threat. Every passing car might be one of Kobe's. Every stranger who glanced her way might be the last person she ever saw. Mary kept moving. She'd memorized the subway routes when she was 9, a game she played with herself when she was too hungry to sleep. Now those maps unfolded in her mind like survival blueprints. A black SUV turning on her street, headlights sweeping. She ducked into an alley, pressed herself against the wall, didn't breathe. The SUV rolled past. She made it to the platform as a train was pulling in. She collapsed into a seat. Her phone said 11:47 p.m. 56 hours until Elena's surgery. 12 hours until Kobe's deadline. Mary closed her eyes. A man at the other end of the car. He wasn't one of Kobe's. She could tell immediately. Different suit, different posture. Where Kobe's men moved like predators, this one moved like a salesman. He smiled as he approached. Long night. Mary didn't answer. The man sat across from her. Too close. Too comfortable. I hear you have something valuable. He pulled a card from his pocket, slid it across the seat. My employer would like to make an offer. Victor Salazar. He'll pay double what Kobe owes you, the man continued. 400,000. Cash. All you have to do is bring him the tape. 400,000. Enough for the surgery. Enough for a new life. What does he want with it? Mary asked. That's not your concern. The man stood. The train was slowing. Call the number. Before sunrise. He stepped off at the next stop. Mary stared at the card. $400,000. But destroying the tape meant destroying the only proof of what Kobe had done. It meant letting her father's killer win. She put the card in her pocket. Not a decision. Not yet. She called. Victor Salazar picked up on the second ring. His voice was smooth, polished, the kind of voice that sold things people didn't need. Miss Williams, I was hoping you'd see reason. The tape for 400,000. That's the offer. That's the offer. You have my word. Word. Mary thought of Kobe, of codes and bets, and men who kept their promises only when it served them. Where do we meet? A warehouse. Pier 17. Dawn. A pause. Come alone, Miss Williams. For your grandmother's sake. The line went dead. Mary looked at her phone. 48 hours. She had a plan now. But plans, she was learning, were just stories you told yourself until reality showed up with a gun. The warehouse smelled like salt and diesel and old fish. Mary's feet ached. She'd been walking for hours, couldn't risk the subway again, and the cold morning air cut through her thin shirt like a warning. Victor Salazar stood in the center of the room. He was smaller than his voice suggested. Slight, well-dressed. The kind of man who paid others to do the things he couldn't stomach himself. Miss Williams. He spread his hands. You came. You have my money. Of course. He gestured to a briefcase at his feet. 400,000. As promised. Mary took a step forward and froze. A figure stepping out from behind the crates. Gold chain catching the light. Marco. Kobe's lieutenant. The one who had laughed the loudest. Hey, little rat. He grinned. Miss me? The one who laughed the loudest was the one who betrayed first. Marco works for me now, Salazar said, still smiling. Has for months. Kobe doesn't know yet, but he will once I have what you're holding. Mary's hand went to her pocket. The tape recorder was still there. You said you'd pay. Salazar laughed. It was a small sound, almost polite. I lied. Marco grabbed her before she could run. His grip was iron. She thrashed, kicked, bit, nothing. The tape, Salazar said, extending his hand. Now, and then. Tires screeching outside. Car doors. Gunfire. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Kobe's men. The two armies collided like waves. Black suits on both sides. Indistinguishable in the muzzle flash chaos. Mary crawled behind a crate. Her ears were ringing. Her hands found the tape recorder. Still in her pocket. Still intact. She looked for an exit. A door at the back. Rusted. Half open. She ran. Made it 3 steps before a hand grabbed her collar. She spun. Kobe Gill himself. Not his men. Him. Going somewhere. The gunfire had stopped. Salazar's men were down. Marco was bleeding on the ground, clutching his leg. And Mary was caught between a man who wanted her dead and a man who wanted her silent, with no way to tell which was which. She trusted the wrong person. Walked into a trap. And now the two most dangerous men in New York both want what's in her pocket. If you made it this far, you're invested. Hit subscribe, because how this ends is something you don't want to miss. Kobe's men formed a ring around them. No exit. No allies. No more tricks. Just a 12-year-old girl and a man who had killed her father. The tape, Kobe said. His voice was calm, almost tired. Give it to me, and I'll let you live. Mary's fingers closed around the recorder in her pocket. And if I don't, then you die here. And your grandmother dies in that hospital bed. He released her collar. Step back. It's simple mathematics, Miss Williams. 1 tape. 2 lives. Why do you even want it? She asked. What's on that tape that scares you so much? Kobe didn't flinch. Your father was a good man. A brilliant man. He paused. And brilliant men make dangerous mistakes. He recorded things he shouldn't have. Things that could hurt a lot of people. Not just me. You mean things that could prove what you are. I mean things that would start a war. Kobe's voice hardened. I'm not the only man on that tape, child. There are senators, judges, men who make me look like a schoolyard bully. If that recording goes public, they won't come for me. They'll come for everyone. Mary thought of her father's voice. A bet is a bet, even when it costs you everything. She thought of her grandmother. 46 hours. What are you offering? She asked. Kobe tilted his head. Surprised. Maybe. Reassessing. The surgery gets paid. You disappear. New name, new city, new life. He stepped closer. The tape gets destroyed. We never speak again. And you get to grow up, Mary Williams. That's more than most people in this room got. Her father was dead. Nothing would bring him back. But her grandmother was alive. And Elena Williams deserved to stay that way. 1 tape. 2 lives. She could end this. Right now. Take the deal. Walk away. Let Kobe win. Mary reached into her pocket. Pulled out her phone. I've already uploaded a copy to 3 journalists, she said. It goes live in 1 hour unless I stop it. You're bluffing. Mary met his eyes. You taught me something, Mr. Gill. When I was standing in front of that safe. She held up the phone. The upload cue on the screen. A bet is a bet. Silence. Kobe's men looked at him. Waiting. If he killed her now, the tape would go public. If he let her go, she'd still have leverage. Checkmate. What do you want? He asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Mary lowered the phone. I don't want your money, she said. I don't want your empire. I don't want revenge. She took a step toward the door. I wanted to watch me walk out. And I want my grandmother's surgery paid for. Anonymously. Before I cancel that upload. Kobe Gill looked at Mary Williams, a 12-year-old girl in bare feet, who had walked into his penthouse and opened the safe he thought was impenetrable, who had survived his lieutenants, outlasted his deadline, escaped his trap, who had beaten him with his own code. He stepped aside. She didn't run. She walked, because running was for people who were afraid. And Mary Williams had nothing left to be afraid of. She just did the impossible. A 12-year-old girl walked into the wolf's den and walked out with everything. If that moment gave you chills, smash that like button. We're almost at the end. She canceled the upload. Not because Kobe deserved mercy, but because her father had asked her to finish what he couldn't. And what he couldn't do was burn the whole world down. The tape was still in her pocket. A promise. A threat. A legacy. Kobe Gill knew it was out there. Knew she had it. Knew that for the rest of his life, a 12-year-old girl in bare feet had something that could destroy him. Sometimes that was enough. The nurse found her in the hospital corridor. Good news, she said. An anonymous donor covered the full cost. Surgery's happening within the hour. Mary nodded. She didn't ask who. She already knew. A bet is a bet. Her grandmother was going to live. Her father was still dead. And Kobe Gill was still free. But for the first time in 5 years, Mary felt something that wasn't grief. A nurse handed her a package. Small. No return address. She opened it in the hallway. Inside, a gold watch. Her father's watch. The one Kobe had taken the night he died. No note. No explanation. Just the weight of it in her palm. The ticking of it against her wrist. Mary sat by Elena's bed. Her grandmother asleep. The watch on her wrist. I found the wolf's teeth, Dad. She whispered it. Almost inaudible. And I walked out. She was wearing shoes now. Not new ones, but they fit. That was enough. The tape was still in her pocket. The watch was on her wrist. And somewhere across the city, Kobe Gill was learning what it felt like to lose to someone he'd underestimated. Mary Williams didn't run anymore. She walked. Deliberately. Because she wasn't the same girl who'd stolen bread from a Mafia boss's restaurant 48 hours ago. That girl had been desperate. This one was dangerous. Mary Williams walked into the wolf's den barefoot and starving. She walked out with her grandmother's life, her father's watch, and leverage over the most dangerous man in New York. She didn't get her revenge. Not today. But she learned something Kobe Gill never expected to teach her. A bet is a bet, even when it costs you everything. The tape is still in her pocket. The wolf is still out there. But she's not running anymore. She found the lamb's way in. And when she was ready, she walked out. If Mary's story moved you, if you felt something in your chest when she looked Kobe Gill in the eye and chose to walk instead of run, then do this. Subscribe to this channel. And share this video with someone who needs to remember what courage looks like. Because sometimes the smallest person in the room is the most dangerous. And sometimes the wolf forgets that lambs have teeth too.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.